Hey fellow beaders, welcome to Wild Wednesday. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet. It's actually a component bracelet. I've made individual components that I then later connected together. So what you're going to need are some crescent beads, and the ones that I used here, they're from Art Beads, and they are called matte metallic bronze iris crescent bead. So I ended up using an entire 10-gram pack, and I have these two left for this bracelet. So I made 6 little individual components that I connected together. This bracelet is just about 6 inches, which is perfect for my wrist, but if you need something longer, then you're gonna need more than a little 10-gram package of your crescent beads. So you might want to order 2 of those. I ended up using 32 of my 4mm fire polish, and in this case you can also use bicones or rounds. It doesn't really matter which of the 4mm beads you need. The size is the important piece, which is the 4mm. But these are also from Art Beads, and if you wanted to know, these are called matte metallic flax. And I have plenty of these because I ordered 100 pieces, so I didn't use nearly as many. And the last bead you'll need is your 11-0 bead. So here's my 11-0s, and these are Matsunos, and they are MT640 is the number. I bought these from the local bead store, and they don't give me the name or the color of the beads. But they're 11-0 seed beads, and their Matsuno 640 is the number. In addition, you'll need your lobster claw clasp and some jumprings, which is what I did here. And I just made a loop on either side, and I have a completed bracelet. Okay guys, let's get started. To begin our design, you want to have your crescent facing down, like I do there, and then you want to go into basically the right hole. So if you're looking straight down, you're going to be going into that hole. So to begin, I'm going to pick up a crescent, then an 11-0, then the next crescent, 11-0, and I'll be picking up 4 of each. So 11-0 crescent, that's my 4th crescent. I need 1 more 11-0, and I'm going to go ahead and bring these down to the end of my thread, just like this. And I'm going to hold on to my little tail. I don't need a very long tail, and I'm going to go back through all the beads. So if you just kind of hold on to them, you should be able to go through them all carefully without accidentally skipping a bead. There we go. And I'm going to form a little circle, and I'm going to make my tail a little bit shorter. There it is. I'm going to make a knot. And so before you tie off, you want to push the crescents and have them kind of coming up and not facing down like this one's going down. So you almost want it to look like a little flower. And now you make your last knot, or you make the second part of the square knot, double knot, square knot, I'm not sure. I think both are the same. And so that's what you want to begin with. Take your needle, and of course the thread came out of the needle. And we're going to pull, so the knot's right there. You guys can see that. We're just going to pull it into the crescent, and exit out of the 11-0. Okay, there we are. So I'm going to try to hold this like with just on one crescent side. And I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s and go back through the 11-0, then through the crescent, and exit out of the next 11-0. That's what you get. And you're going to repeat this 3 more times. So we're going to pick up 3 11-0s, go back through the same 11-0, go through the crescent, and then exit out of the 11-0. And next up, I'm sure you guys can guess, is I'm picking up 3 11-0s, and I'm going to go back through my same 11-0 again, and through the crescent and this last 11-0. And for the last time, pick up 3, go through them, go through the crescent if you can. So the knot's right in that spot, so that spot might be a little tight, but this is what you have so far. Go up into this 11-0, then up these 2 11-0s in this little loop. And what you're going to do is now pick up another 11-0, and you're going through the top beads in all the loops. So we're going to connect all these loops together. Just like that. I'm picking up another 11-0 and going through the next loop. I just did it again. I picked up an 11-0 and slowly bringing it together. We got one more to pick up and go through this top bead in this loop here. So they're all connected. And now I'm going to go back through them to reinforce them. So I managed to get through 4, and I think in the next go around I should get through the other 4. Make sure your tail isn't getting in there. And also double check and make sure you're not picking up any extraneous beads from the side of the loops. Okay, I'm going to go through this last one here, and I've reinforced this. And this is what your work is going to look like. Here's what it looks like on the sides. And here's our top view. All right, so now we got to work our way back down and into the crescent. And so what I'm going to do is actually, since my knot is right there, I'm going to go over one more spot. So I got to go through 2 more beads here. It'll be trickier to go through that hole in the crescent. So I'm going to go ahead and, here's where I'm at. I'm going down this bead. One of the 11-0s, then this bead, and through the crescent. I'm coming out of the other side here of the crescent. And then I'm going to go into the top hole of the crescent, or the left hole of the crescent. All right, in this next part, you're going to pick up another crescent. So the crescent is face down, and I'm going into that right hole. I'm going to pick up my fire polish and another crescent. And again, picking it up, having it facing down, the arch is down, and I'm going into the right hole. And I'm going to go into the upper hole, or the second left hole of this one. So this is what you'll get. They won't sit nicely like that, and that's what you have. And you're going to repeat this. So we pick up a crescent, right hole, a fire polish, and another crescent in the right hole. And you go into the next crescent here in the work. Don't worry if the crescents are kind of going around in all the different directions. It's okay. And 2 more times. So down, crescent is down, right hole of this crescent, and I'm into the next crescent. Just like that. And I gotta do this once more. So I'm picking up one more here. Oh, wandered off. There's the crescent. Right hole. Got a fire polish and another crescent. And I'm going into this crescent here. Okay, so that's what you guys should have so far. Now go ahead and go through all the beads and reinforce. And this, you really want to pay attention that you're getting through all of the crescent beads. That can be a little easy to skip, especially when they're right next to each other, because the holes there, I went through 3 at a time. So just take your time. And just go through them little by little. And that's what you have so far. So some of them are going to go down, and that's okay, because it's kind of what we want them to do. We are going to bring them all together and connect them to each other, like so. So should be exiting, let's see, I'm exiting a fire polish, so I'm going to go into the next. Am I exiting a fire polish? Nope, I'm exiting a crescent. So I'm going to go into this crescent in the other hole. And so the 2 crescents that are close together, I'm going to put 111 between them. So this next one gets 111. Now here's a bigger gap, and so what I'm actually going to do is put 2 11s and go into this, just the one crescent. Like that. I'm picking up 1 11-0, and I'm going to go into this next crescent. Pick up 2, go into a crescent, pick up 1, getting the tail out of the way, and now it's time for 2. 1, and 2, and we reinforce. So here's what you should look. That's the back side of your piece. And this is the front of this piece. We'll get rid of the, gotta weave that tail in a little bit, but that's what you have. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinforce my 11-0s and my crescents. Make sure this whole piece is gonna be nice and snug. So you're just gonna go through the beads, make sure you're not skipping any. So that's why I'm only going through a few at a time. And I think I should be pretty close to being back to the original starting point. Okay, so I'm exiting out of this crescent here, and what I want to do is go through 2 more of the 11-0s, these 2 11-0s, and the next crescent. And I seem to have done this twice now. These needles are great. They have a big hole. I got these from Doreen Beads, but the thread has a tendency to slip out. So they're easy to get the thread on, but the thread doesn't want to stay on either. Okay, so you're coming out of an crescent that's really close to a fire polish. So we're going to go into the upper hole, or the second hole back, and then exit out of the fire polish. And then what you want to do is pick up probably, let's say 7 11-0 beads, 5, 6, 7, and you go back through the fire polish again, and you get a nice little loop around the fire polish. And this is, you only do this for the first and last component. So the first component and the last component, and I'm sure you guys can guess why. It's because this is where your clasp is going to go. So typically what I do is we'll put a jump ring through this loop, and a clasp or the jump ring will be used with a lobster claw. It's my general way of doing it. So go ahead and reinforce, and make our way down. So you need to get to the opposite fire polish now. And this is going to be tricky to work your way through. So I'm trying to go through the 3 crescents So I just got through them. And now fire polish, 3 more crescents to get through. And let's see, there it is. Got through them. And now you're in position to connect the pieces together. So I've already made up a couple pieces and I'll show you how to connect it. What you're first going to do, since you're exiting out of that fire polish, and what we're going to do is pick up 2 11-0 beads, another fire polish, and 2 11-0 beads. And we go into this fire polish here on your component. And now we do the same thing, pick up 2 11-0s, fire polish, and 2 more 11-0s. And you go back through our first fire polish here. And that's what you get. Now what you're going to do is go ahead and reinforce our circle. So go through the 2 11-0s and the fire polish. So we're also going to add beads as we go too. Pick up 5 11-0s and go back around the fire polish and then just go through the next 2 11-0s and out of this fire polish over here. Pick up 5 more. Go back through the fire polish. And I'm going to turn the work so I can continue. So I'm going to go through these 2 11-0s and into this third fire polish. Pick up 5 more 11-0s. Go back through the fire polish and continue to the last fire polish if you can. If you can't, just take your time and finish what you're doing first. And I'm completely out of seed beads, so I'm going to add more to my little pile here. And I get to add 5 more. And you go through the fire polish with the 5. And last step, you're going to go up into the middle bead in this group of 5, so the third bead. And we're going to connect all these loops together. So go through this middle bead in this loop here. I did that all wrong. Okay, so once you've made your loop and made your way around to the fire polish, you're going to pick up an 11-0 fire polish, 11-0, and you're going to go into the fire polish that is on your component over here. just like that. You can avoid all the crescent beads that are next to the component. And that's it. And then you're going to repeat. So you're going to pick up an 11-0, fire polish 11-0, and we're going to go back into our fire polish over here. And you get a nice simple little connection. It's not very complicated to do. You just want to reinforce it, and then we tie off. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and reinforce this 2 or 3 times. So let's see if I can make the light a little bit better. It seems like it's gotten dark. Okay, that's better. And back through. Okay. Sometimes, because the larger component is so much more complicated, I'm just moving my thread out of the way here. So I have thread from this component, extra thread, so I can connect the next piece. So you don't want to make the connection too complicated looking. So I think that fits together nicely. And I'm going to go ahead and start making half-hitch knots. So you want to put the knots away from, well, it doesn't really matter where you put them, I guess. So I'm going to put them where I can stick them into the fire polish. So I'm going to go ahead and make my first one here, just going around the thread between this 11-0 and pull the knot into the fire polish. And we're still reinforcing as we go. Make another one here between this 11-0 and the fire polish. There's my loop, and I went through the loop, pull it close and pull it in. Make sure there's no slack in your thread. And I'm going to go through this 11-0 here. All right, so we're going to make this third knot. So go around the thread between the seed bead and the fire polish, and then go through that loop. And I just did that, so I'm going to go ahead and weave the thread away. And I'm going to go through these guys here, giving everything a nice tug, and I should be good to go. Okay, well, keep going until you've completed, until you've got the desired length. And I'll see you at the end. Hey fellow beaders, so here is the completed bracelet, and I think it came out really nice. Looks good. I love this sort of matte bronze golden finish to the beads. Anyway, well, I hope you guys like this, and I will see you in the next tutorial.